Hello, and welcome to an unshaven, slightly hoarse, and cautiously optimistic episode of the Boiled Sports Handsome Hour vlogcast. I'm Boiler Dowd. Mom, thanks for watching. I'm a little bit excited. I'm getting amped up. I said it on Twitter last night that it feels kind of like we're in a different universe than where we were just a year ago. The energy around the program is changing, and we haven't even had the good part happen yet. After a skeptical 3-9 prediction, I believe this team is going to go to a bowl game. And I think this Ohio game, is kind of pivotal for the bowl picture. I know that may sound a little weird to call it a must-win, I'm not really calling it a must-win because just a week ago I thought 4 wins was a bit of a pipe dream, or 5 wins was crazy. Now I think 6 wins is a real possibility. I think this Purdue team looks like they can do some things. And the interesting thing is, it's not going to be the offense, at least early on, that's going to carry this team. That defense, those linebackers, specifically Juwan Bentley, Marcus Bailey, those guys looked fantastic. And on top of that, you've got a defensive front that looks tough. You've got defensive backs that did a solid job. They did a good enough job, let's say that. They allowed yardage. They allowed a couple, not really big plays, but a couple plays that kept Louisville going. Really, that was the biggest problem against Louisville, was that when Louisville needed 8 to 10 yards on 3rd and 8, they would get 12, and that's something we've seen before. But here's a big difference. Last year, and many years prior, if a team drove down on Purdue, there was kind of no speed bump. They would just drive right into the end zone. On Saturday, that defense stiffened up in the red zone. And then, even better, they caused turnovers. They ripped Louisville and turned the ball the other way. This defense was not only looking to get turnovers, they were looking to turn that into an instant offense, and those linebackers and those defensive backs and those defensive linemen all turn into running backs and blockers right away. That was exciting to see. This team is opportunistic. This defense is hungry. They look fast. They look better. And it's amazing. It is simply amazing how much difference a scheme can make on a bunch of players that a lot of people had left for dead. But I surely didn't think that I'd see that defense. Even with my optimism on the defensive side of the ball, I didn't think we'd see that many turnovers. Great job by the defense. So what happened on the offense? Well, they couldn't run the ball very well, which was concerning, of course. DJ Knox had a pretty solid day. Markel Jones is now hurt. He got dinged up in the second quarter during a boneheaded play. Let's call it what it is. He took a ball in the corner of the field on a kickoff. He probably should have just let it go, and then he fumbled it. And it was a pretty important fumble. The interesting thing is there are a couple momentum swings that happened during that game where it looked like, okay, that's it. This game's over because, Purdue would have an interception or a fumble or something like that. The old Purdue teams, the ones we saw under Hazel and sometimes late in the Hope era, they would have rolled over, quite honestly. Instead, this team kept fighting. So there were some interesting stats that came out. What was the last time Purdue had a lead on a ranked team that was a Power 5 program? I think it was 2008. That's a long damn time. And so it felt different. I kept saying to the people that I was watching the game with, this game feels different. This team feels different. And when momentum would swing and you'd say, okay, this is it. That's the nail in their coffin. They kept fighting. The bad news to me is that the quarterback situation is very much up in the air. It's not a horrible thing because both quarterbacks look so darn good at times. Sindelar and Blau both had their bright spots. Sindelar's arm is extremely, extremely lively. We all saw that before in spring that he had a big arm. But he not only has a big arm, but he makes some tough throws. He may take a little too many risks. I mean, the touchdown to Anthrop threaded 2 Louisville defenders, and Anthrop made a hell of a catch. And how about Anthrop? How about Jackson Anthrop, the second Anthrop to play football for Purdue, still wearing the number 33? A very funny comment on Twitter. I can't remember the guy's name, and I apologize, or girl's name, but they said the perpetual Purdue Boilermaker, Anthrop 33 in the black and gold. But David Blau, he made some mistakes. He did some of the things that we all were bothered by last year. That flea flicker play at the end was a bit of a backbreaker. Thrown at the back of the end zone and clear of double coverage. Purdue was defended and blanketed. He tried to force it in. The other one where he threw it behind, I'm not sure if it was Knox or Fuller. I think it was Fuller. But he threw the ball clearly behind him, and it turned into a pick 6. Those were painful. Those were bad news, right? They stopped all momentum. The pick six especially was horrible. But let's not forget that Purdue was not done yet. That's the crazy thing. And the other one, of course, that drive where there were 3 questionable calls, that mattered. These things all matter. But the other thing that people aren't talking about, Purdue fans don't seem to be talking about, David Blau threw a 50-yard pass on the money to Phillips. I mean, it was right in his hands. I don't think you could place it better. Phillips dropped the ball, and I believe that drive ended. It fizzled, and Purdue had to punt. A little bit later, Blau threw another pass on the money to Burgess, and Burgess, he could have gotten it. It hit both of his hands clearly, and then the defender swiped it away. My thought is a guy that big, that tall, should go up and get that ball, rip it down, and he would have caught it on about the 4-yard line, I believe, if my memory served me correctly, and Purdue would have gotten a touchdown right then. So those 2 plays are massive, obviously. Purdue had a lot of things that they did well, and a lot of things they could have done better. So that's the good news. They took a ranked team on a neutral site. Purdue's crowd was good, don't get me wrong, but it was about 2/3 Louisville. And if you didn't catch that on TV, the Purdue fans were deafening, they were loud, but Louisville's were like, it was almost like ear-piercingly loud and high-pitched. Tons of red there before the game. The atmosphere was good, but there were just way too many Louisville fans for my liking for a game in Indianapolis. And I know that's close to Louisville too, but Indianapolis has a bigger alumni base than Louisville does. I would have loved to have seen more black and gold tailgating, but what can you do? It really doesn't matter. I don't blame Purdue fans for being a little bit jaded from what's happened in the last couple of years. I get it. I'm excited about the chrome gold helmets. I think Purdue's way late to the party in that. Purdue waited and waited and waited and waited. And finally, Purdue has chrome finish helmets. It'll be nice. It's a lift. It's not that big of a deal though. I think the players will enjoy it. But I think under the lights it'll look pretty sharp. It'll be really cool actually. So I think we're in for a fun one on Friday. Let's keep in mind though, this Ohio team is coming off an 8-win season. I think the year before that they had 10. Solich is 72 years old. He knows what he's doing. This guy's been around the block. They beat Hampton, I think 56-0 last week. They're going to be confident, and they have no reason to be intimidated by Purdue. This is a team that they play everybody, and they play them hard. Will Purdue win? Yes! Purdue wins this game, and they start marching towards that 6-win mark and getting to a bowl. I'm excited. I must be the easiest swayed person in the world because I was kind of down in the dumps last week thinking, man, they're gonna be lucky to get out of the pre-con with 1 win. I think they could come away with 2 now. I really believe it. Watching Missouri, what they did last week, that defense allows a ton of points. And I'm going to say Purdue wins. They're going to beat Ohio under the lights Friday night. If you're close by, you should probably come. I don't see why you wouldn't. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. Go get your tickets. They're cheap. Go on the Purdue Sports site. You've been watching the Boiled Sports podcast, The Handsome Hour. BS all the time.